So the writer of Hebrews says that eternal judgment is not an advanced doctrine. He's saying this is the basics, this is the principles, these are the ABCs that you need to know as a believer. It's foundational. And we live in a world that loves to mock judgment, in a world that loves to mock the reality of God's goodness, in the world that believes that death is the end. There's a lot of people who have, for the longest time, especially non-believers, right? We expect that from non-believers who will say, you know what? That when you die, you died and you cease to exist. And that's it. Now, the problem is not what the unbelievers are saying. Because, yeah, they don't know the Lord. They know nothing better than what they have experienced, what they've seen in the animal kingdom, right? I know you're thinking, no, my Fluffy is in heaven. Well, I don't think he's in heaven. I don't think he's in hell either. They don't have souls. Do you understand? That they're not made the same way that you and I are made. But the unbelieving world believes that death is the end, that God, and other people will argue that God will not hold people accountable. They will say, you know what, at the end, love wins. There was a doctrine coming back now 10 years or more, about 15 years ago. It was promulgated by a pastor named Rob Bell, in which he was preaching, and everybody loves this doctrine because, yeah, you're diminishing God's judgment. And he would say, you know, at the end, God is going to say to everybody who's in hell, you've been here long enough. I'm going to let you out now. I don't care what you do with the blood of Jesus. Well, he didn't say that, right? But that is essentially what he was saying. And God's going to forgive everybody, and everybody's going to be happily ever after. Sounds great. It's wonderful, wishful thinking. But the problem is that that's not what the Bible teaches. And I know people will try to humanize the Bible and say, well, I want God to be good and kind, and I want him to be just like I am, to be okay with my sin and that sin that is like mine. But that is literally making a God after your own image, a God that is okay with your shortcomings, a God that is not good. Because if God is not just, that means that he's not good. How many of us laugh about the O.J. Simpson trial? We literally say he got away with murder. And you say, that was a bad judgment. That was a bad judge, you may say. And how many of us will be okay with a judge that turns a blind eye to rape, a judge that turns a blind eye to murder, and be like, well, I'm just going to go easy on this person? They may say, listen, you will say, that's a bad judge. That is not the God that we serve. We serve a good God. In order for him to be good, he has to be just. He has to be a good judge at the same time. The Bible is very clear. The Bible declares every person will stand before God. Whether you're a believer or an unbeliever alike, we all are going to stand before the throne. And eternal judgment is not meant to scare us away from God. Eternal judgment is a doctrine that should awaken us to the urgency that we have to proclaim the gospel and the urgency of salvation through Jesus Christ, the only way to the Father. And tonight what I want to show to you is three things. We don't have enough time to go really fully in depth like in every other topic we have covered. We need months to do that. But the basic stance that we need to look at are these three things. Number one, judgment is certain. Judgment is coming. Number two is judgment is eternal. Eternal judgment, right? It's eternal. And lastly, there's only one way out. That's the good news. What is the name of the person who can deliver you from this judgment? Jesus. I don't believe you. You're like, I don't know. I think maybe I heard his name is Chuy in Mexico. What's his name? Jesus. Jesus. He's the only way out. Go with me to Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. Notice what Hebrews says. Again, the same author, right, that we're reading right now in chapter 6. Many people believe it was Paul. I tend to believe that. And many people wrongly believe that it's not Paul. And that's okay too.